This time I have a Unify high-end 4K, I think it's a 4K security camera, pan, tilt, zoom, high-end one. The installer somehow managed to F it up while he was installing it. As you see, it turns around forever and it's supposed to have a physical stop. I've never opened up one of these before, so we're going to have to do a little bit of probing to figure out how to get into this thing and get it fixed up. Let's check it out. This is a Unify security camera that one of my clients brought to me. He was installing this and he figures he broke it. So this is got a pan tilt on it, but he thinks it shouldn't turn all the way around. He figures he broke the stop. So he wanted me to have a look at this and see whether there's anything I can do to rectify it. We'll take a look at it and just kind of see what makes this thing tick, and if there is anything that can be done to rectify the problem that he may have created. It's got little Torx screws, so let me grab my little drivers here. We'll find the one that's going to fit it. Alright, that comes off. I can unplug these little plugs here so they can get this base out of the way. There's one of them out, and the other one. Yep, there we go. That's out. Alright, got the wires out of the way here. Yeah, look at that. They're wound around there. And that's why this one has a stop on it. The camera I've got, it'll turn forever. It has no stop. This one here is supposed to have a mechanical stop because the wires just kind of wind around, and well, if you turn it too much, you're going to break those wires off. So there should be a mechanical stop. Maybe I'm seeing things. I'm going to remove this bracket. It looks like the mechanical stop might be right here, and something might be just bent or broken. So I'm just going to remove this bracket. That's actually not a mechanical stop. That's the optical rotation sensor, but there is a mechanical stop as well. The motor's down inside on the inside the base here for the camera. Without this on here, it just turns freely. I'm convinced that the mechanical stop must be on the motor. I'm just going to peel this off. There's screws under here that will, I think, hold the rest of the camera onto this base. This, I'm hoping, will release the camera itself, which it does. Okay, now the camera's free from its base. And now I'm going to open up these screws. It's got electronic stops on it as well. But it's supposed to be a mechanical stop apparently, because the fellow that was installing it was just talking to him, and he had two of them, and he said one of them had a mechanical stop, but when he was installing it, it got turned and it broke. Alright, okay, so this is the motor assembly. Let's just take this part out and maybe get into this motor. There is a mechanical stop. I just found the piece that's broken. It's part of the base here. There's a little piece of plastic that used to stick up from here on this piece of the base that's been snapped off. That is the mechanical stop. Okay, now we know where it goes. We know it's broken. So I've got the base back together, got the motor mounted again in here, and this little plastic piece has broken off of here. Now, I could glue this. I mean, I guess I could try gluing this with some super glue. It might hold it. It doesn't have to, like, it's got an electronic stop. This is just to stop someone from turning it too far when they're installing it, is all this is for. It doesn't stop it. The stopping is done by an electronic sensor over here. That's what stops it from turning. Geez, I hope I can remember what way these screws went in. This could be fun. Maybe oh, it's keyed. Okay, good. It's got keyways here. Whew. So it only goes in the one way. Yeah, I think I'll try gluing this with some super glue, because this just has to sit up. This is just to physically stop it from turning beyond its stop for the installer. Once it's in place, it won't turn beyond the electronic governed stop for it anyway. So let me just get some crazy glue, and we'll try to glue this back together. So I'm going to try the good old super glue. There's a brand new tube of it, because this stuff doesn't last if you don't use it up pretty quick. It won't work again. It just gets like garbage. It won't stick. But when it's brand new, it's usually pretty good stuff. So I got the piece on there. I'll stick the other piece in here that broke, and hopefully it will stick and not stick to my fingers. In addition to gluing it, I also use my soldering iron to beef up, melt some plastic, and kind of fuse it back together just to give it a little more strength than the glue itself. So that should hopefully hold that in place, and I can now get the unit back together kind of here. Where does this go? This goes, well, we'll put this in like this. I guess this goes in like this. Put the wires through. You see, now this will stop it. Hard stop. Now I got to put the other piece on here that holds this together. And this only goes on one way, which is good. It's keyed. So I just got to drop this in and line up the little alignment pins. It only goes in one way. The screws only go in one way because there's two little keyways here that we have to line up. And once they're lined up, then the screws should hold it back together. There, the keyways are lined up. And now I've got 3 screws that hold this piece together. Now the base only turns so far, you see. That's how it's supposed to be. Put down the gasket that I guess keeps moisture out or hides those screws so that you can't find them. And there should be a couple slots on this for these little sensors to go through. There they are. That sticks down like that. Anything else I'm missing? I think I got everything. And now I can put this other base on, which also only goes on one way. As the screws are not lining up, they're offset. which is kind of nice because otherwise you wouldn't know what phase you're in. But the fact that these are keyed slightly different, that goes on like that, and there's 2 screws that held this in place. Why only 2? I don't know, but there was only 2 that came out. Okay, I've got it together. It turns and stops at each end. There's one stop there, and that's good because that's right where this alignment is. This piece right here, this is where the optical sensor, this has got an optical sensor on it as well. That's what this is here. Now this piece, it sits right into this little cutout. It sits right here. So there's one extreme, and then makes a full turn, and that also triggers the optical sensor so that the system knows where the camera is, and the other one is right there. So what happens when you first turn it on is this camera will do a rotation, and it'll go all the way to here, and it knows that it's at the end of its travel. When that large section of, there's a metal bar here, when this one interrupts the light, then it turns the other direction, and it measures how many pulses, because it is a stepper motor. It measures how many pulses it takes to get to that point. That's how it calibrates, so it knows where the other end stop is, right there. So it should never ever hit the end stop. So this one's now fixed. It's got to plug the 2 plugs back in, and then I can reassemble the unit and send it on its way. And this came in from a friend of mine who does pre-wiring homes. I worked with him for 20 years at the TV shop, but he was a salesman at the shop that I worked at, so he brings me stuff. So he was hoping he wouldn't have to buy them a new camera, because this apparently is quite an expensive camera. So I've saved them some money. Put that plug back in. And then put the screws in. And then this piece goes in, it goes in this way. It's got to put the wires down where they belong so that they're not going to get chewed up. The wires all just push down into here. Like that. That's probably what this button here is for. Is once you apply power, you press that button and that will synchronize it. It will turn the camera around and calibrate the circuitry for rotation. I would think that's how that works. You give it because this is a network camera, you give it power over Ethernet and press that button. I'm sure that will synchronize this. I'm going to go plug this into PoE and see what it does. I won't be able to see the picture, obviously, because I don't have the rest of the system, but I do have a PoE port that I can plug it into. At least it should power it up. I took it in and I plugged it into my PoE switch, and it did the lens, the focus on the lens. You can see the lens moving. So it did that. So it looks like it's going to boot up, and it did move back and forth. It now has a hard stop, one end there, and the other end there. So I think I can say that this one is fixed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.